What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for October 14th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Victory Monday edition of the podcast. A Victory Monday, but a very, very ugly Victory Monday. And just kind of will be more as usual. Like, we'll break it down more tomorrow as we go throughout the week, but not sure how to feel about that game. I honestly, the initial reaction is left the game yesterday never more pissed off about a win, I think, in my life. And I know Andy Reid used to always say, anytime you get a win in the National Football League, it's a good thing. And yes, that is a good thing. But man, I do not feel confidence coming out of that game. I think you won that game due to Cleveland being so bad. The defense played well, as well they should have, and didn't score or give up a offensive touchdown. They got the fluky blocked field goal touchdown. They had put the pressure on Deshaun Watson, got a few sacks. Like I said, they come in bunches. Not sure what's going on with the offense. And it was almost like a tale of two things there, because they're still getting off to the slow starts, and I don't understand that. I don't know if it is execution. I don't know if it is the scripted plays that just aren't working. Maybe because they're scripted, Jalen's not audibly out of the... I don't know. Like, there's just something wrong with this team. Cannot score in the first quarter, and they kind of get into the groove. And I don't know if they need to pound it to Saquon Barkley more, who was kind of lost and had the one mistake on the play when he ran out of bounds. But I just don't know. And I think Jalen played better. He did not turn the ball over, which is a huge positive. I think you saw some life in them, so there are some positive things to take away. Like I said, the defense dominated the way they should have against that team. But I just don't know where this team goes from here. And I fully expected them to blow out this team, and maybe that's why I'm more disappointed, is because they didn't. They should have, and I don't know. I mean, the positives to take away: no turnovers for Jalen. Defense played well. A.J. Brown being back is huge for that team. I do want to mention, despite that Jalen did not turn the ball over, there were a handful of times where he's still missing and not taking the chance to take shots. A.J. was open a couple of times and he missed him. And even on the one pass where he hit A.J. on the cross, A.J. broke that play off. He was going deep on a post, and he had him. A.J. did that, and I don't know if it's because he doesn't have confidence in his arm strength or what, but it's hard to be mad at Jalen after that, because he didn't turn the ball over. He did play well. He showed some emotion, doing the nice little dance with the kid and play dance with A.J., chest bumping with Brandon Graham. So hard to be mad at him. It's just they're stuck in neutral. I think Lane Johnson said it. He was like, they're a constipated offense, which is the truth. I feel like they're close to exploding, but for some reason, and again, I don't know if it's scripted plays. I don't know if it's the execution or what. But we'll see. Jordan Mailata injured his hamstring, so not sure to the extent of him. He was on crutches after the game. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That's not a good sign there. I don't know what Nick Sirianni's doing. Yelling at the crowd. I give up trying to figure that dude out, and maybe it's him. I really, at this point, I can't figure out what's wrong with this team. Maybe it's him. Who knows, but we'll probably have more on him as the week goes. But let's go back and take a look at yesterday's three keys to the game. I said a fast start. No fast start for the Eagles yesterday. I was just, I don't know. They can't get out of the gates. And if they had the opportunity to be up 14 or 21 nothing in that first quarter, and that would have been made things feel much better. But instead, we had to sweat it out. You give up a fluky blocked field goal right before halftime. It's like dumb stuff like that that turned the game around. And it's AJ being back, AJ had a monster game, 6 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. I will say he could have had another one. He was wide open. I don't know if Jalen didn't see him, couldn't get him the ball, but he was there. And then the defense had 5 sacks. They put constant pressure on the Browns and Deshaun Watson, but the slow start killed them. And again, I think if this was a game against the Steelers or even the Bengals, I'd be like, okay, 20-16, I'll take it. But because it was the Browns, I expect it to be a bigger blowout. Maybe that's why I'm disappointed. Maybe I'm just down. Maybe it's the PTSD from the Phillies. Who knows? But I don't know. But it's time to name our GOAT of the game. 267-495-8531. Who was the GOAT of the Eagles game yesterday? Was it A.J. Brown, 6 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown? Jalen Carter with a sack and tons of pressure on Deshaun Watson and the Browns' offensive line? Or Jalen Hurts with 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, but more importantly, no turnovers. Let me know who your GOAT of the game is. 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest? Want to vent about Nick Sirianni? Want to talk about the game? Were you at the game? All of that is fair. It was a beautiful day, by the way, for a game. It was hard to leave disappointed when it was that beautiful out, but I'm still disappointed. I don't know. I'll take it, though. A win is a win, and even ugly wins count, too. All right. But be sure to let me know your GOAT of the game. Is it AJ, Jalen Carter, or Jalen Hurts? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. We did lose our bet, too. We're 2-3. They did not even come close to covering the 8.5. Certainly not the 9.5 or the 10.5. So got a little overzealous yesterday with the bet. And obviously the over did not come in as they only got 236. Not a good day. Not a good day at all. All right. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont, Twitter, and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Hit me up on the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Subscribe, spread the word, tell your friends, tell everyone. If you're enjoying this, somebody else will. If you need any information on the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, all of that information's in the link in the description. Induction ceremony coming up November 7th. Looking forward to that. But great class. Looking like, just go check it out. Between Chase, Ryan, and Jameer Nelson, that's big enough. And then Angelo Cataldi's in, Paul Westhead. It should be a good time. So go check all of that information out in the link. And then go to Philly Goat. Get your Eagles gear, Sixers gear, Flyers gear. They have you covered. They have those canvas loafers. They have some Flyers and Sixers ones as well. Even some Eagles. They have the Reggies. So go check them out. And use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. And then check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences. Should be an interesting week as the Eagles are the only NFC East team to win this week, believe it or not. And you would have thought, the way I'm feeling, they lost too. But new episodes drop on Wednesday, I think Thursday for football and Friday for baseball. Shame the Mets got blown out last night. You hate to see it. But go check them out wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Flyers in action, or they're off tonight. They'll be in Edmonton tomorrow. Sixers preseason game in Atlanta tonight. There will be no Joel Embiid. He was ruled out for the rest of the preseason. They basically said it's knee injury management. Essentially, they're like, why are we going to put you in a preseason game? Which at first, like the way I read that, I was like, oh man, here we go again. But he only played in one preseason game last year anyway. So I don't think this is as big of a deal as it as it sounds. And plus, they're going to have to get used to playing without him on his rest days anyway. But they only have 3 preseason games left. Season kicks off soon. Cannot wait. Let's go. All right, today we're going to go back to 1979. And on this day in 1979, the Flyers beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-3. Paul Holmgren, Bob Kelly, Reggie Leach, and Brian Popp all had goals as the Flyers improved to 2-1. Little did anyone know, though, that this win was the start of something historic. They had lost the night before to Atlanta, 9-2, and it was sort of like their first loss of the season. Got blown out. It was no big deal, no harm, no foul. But with this win, they would not lose again until January 7th. 35 consecutive games without a loss, 25-0-10 during that streak. It is the North American record for unbeaten streaks with 35. They won the division. They were so good with 14 games left. Made it all the way to the Stanley Cup before battling out to the New York Islanders. But on this day in 1979, the Flyers' historic 35-game unbeaten streak began with a 4-3 win over the Maple Leafs. What's even more impressive is during that streak, the fact that only 10 of those games were ties. They won 25 out of the 35, which is pretty impressive. But that is the North American record for consecutive games without a loss. I should say, not wins, without a loss. 35. And that started on this day in 1979. Would go all the way till January 7th, 1980. All right, finally today, our Red October great games in Phillies postseason history. Game 5 of the 93 World Series. And this game was so important, so needed. They were coming off that 15-14 wild one that had a rain delay. Phillies had a lead, gave up the lead, and they needed a win to stay alive, and they relied on their ace, Curt Schilling, who was taking on Juan Guzman, who was no slouch himself. Lenny Dykstra led off with a walk, stole second, reached third on an error, and then scored on a John Kruk groundout in the first. And then in the second inning, Darren Dalton doubled, got to third on a groundout, and scored on a Kevin Stocker single. And that's all Curt Schilling needed. He threw a complete game shutout, giving up 5 hits, striking out 6, only walking 3. And it was just what the doctor ordered for the Phillies that year. And obviously, they went back to Toronto, and we know how that played out. But on this day, though, or not on this day, but for Game 5 anyway, that was just, we were excited because we're like, all right, Curt Schilling did what he needed to do, and I did anyway. We felt good going into Toronto to try to win that game. Until Joe Carter, who ruined all of our childhoods, as the shirt at Philly Goat says. But Game 5 of the 1993 World Series is our Phillies Red October postseason, or great game in Phillies postseason history. Phillies beat the Blue Jays 2-0. Curt Schilling was just dominant, gave them exactly what they needed, and this was sort of like the birth of the legend of Curt Schilling in the World Series. If you remember the bloody sock and all the other craziness with him, this kind of started that whole process for old Curt. But that was today's great game in Phillies postseason history. On this day in 1979, Flyers beat the Maple Leafs 4-3. It was the first game of their 35 game. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble saying that today. 35 game unbeaten streak. It was game 1. It would go all the way into January, but that is a North American record. And little did you know that night that you were witnessing the beginning of history. We'll have more updates on the Sixers tomorrow. Flyers getting ready to play Edmonton. But let me know who your GOAT of the Eagles game was yesterday. A.J. Brown, Jalen Carter, Jalen Hurts, 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know. Give me your thoughts on the game. Am I being too negative? Should I be excited that they won the game? They didn't turn the ball over. I don't know. Let me know. I could be convinced. Convince me otherwise if I should be feeling better about this. But that's all on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Text me, call me, whatever you need to do, and we'll have more on this game tomorrow. Hopefully we have some positive updates on Jordan Mailata as we get the day after and start breaking down and getting ready for the next game, which I think the next game is the Giants. But actually, you know what? Let me look that up real quick because that's going to bother me. I'm pretty sure it is the Giants is the next game. Yep. Next Sunday up in the Meadowlands. So could be a tough game. We'll see. But let me know your thoughts on the Eagles game. And I apologize. I'm just so down about that game. Like I cannot get behind that right now. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for October 14th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday. It is a victory Monday, so enjoy. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.